What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Kid Taj, and today, as promised, we're going to be doing the top 5 shooting guards. I don't know why I just said as promised. I don't think I promised anything, but either way, we're doing the top 5 shooting guards. We did top 5 point guards in the last video, and I'm thinking since, like what I said in that video, it's summer, not a lot going on. These Kyrie and Melo trade rumors are getting a little bit stale. I mean, seriously, things are kind of stopping in their tracks. We're not really seeing any movement, any progress with that. So, NBA interesting stuff going on, current events, it's not really happening right now, which is the ultimate reason why we are making top 5 lists. I'm going to do top 5 of all the positions, off-season power rankings, however you want to call it. I am going to be doing team power rankings, what my predictions, I should probably say, Eastern Conference predictions and Western Conference predictions as far as seeds go. I did that last year. That was like one of my biggest videos last year. That's like the reason why I got up to, I don't know. I was like at 40 subscribers when I did that. I think something like that. And then I just boosted all the way up from that video. So yeah, we're going to be seeing those. But today, top 5 shooting guards. And like I said in the last video, James Harden is a shooting guard again. Okay, I was basically classifying him as a point guard last year, because that's really what he was playing. This year he's going to be playing shooting guard, so he's back to being a shooting guard. And, yeah. And before we get into it, I got to leave a disclaimer. Guys, this is my opinion. Please do not be offended by my opinion. And you can leave your top 5 lists in the comments below. Please like the shit up if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. Support a little bit. Thank you very much. And yeah, let's get it started. Number 5, I'm going with Portland Trailblazers shooting guard CJ McCollum. And the way this list kind of works is that I don't really have to say that much about CJ McCollum right now in terms of how he compares to other shooting guards. You're going to see who's above him, and I'm going to compare who's above and below people. Hope that sounds good. Did that in the last video. CJ McCollum, as we know, he's a scoring shooting guard, virtually unguardable. He can score from the mid-range. That's basically his specialty, I'd probably say. But he's also an elite three-point threat. He's got great ball handling. He's super lightning quick. He can get to the rim. He doesn't jump out the gym, but he's really good finishing around the rim. Crafty finishes. He's athletic. The guy has it all on the offensive end, including the ability to run point guard, so he can be considered a combo guard. He's about 6'3", 6'4", so he's good enough size for that anyway. CJ McCollum is a star, I would call him, in this league. He's a guy that I could see in the All-Star game in a few years, just because he's gotten better every season. He won Most Improved Player a few years ago, and we're seeing him take steps each and every season to become better. And last season, that step was getting those shooting percentages up, just scoring more points. And that's pretty much what that Portland backcourt does best, is score points. CJ McCollum's downfall, of course, comes at the defensive end. He's a really weak defensive player, and defense, I used to say defense was 50% of the game, but you can hide players on defense these days. It's not as important as it used to be unless you're really a game-changing defensive player, unless your defense is so bad that it hurts the entire team to a point where your team is suffering so much that you end up having like a negative impact on your team. CJ McCollum has a very positive impact on his team because he is a huge scoring option. He's a guy that gives them a ton of points when they need him. He's really clutch. He can hit big shots. He can hit tough shots. He's good at scoring throughout the game. He can score at will, and that's very valuable to a team. We're going to get into number 4, and we're going to take a look at why this player is better than CJ. Number 4, I went with Klay Thompson. Yeah, this might be a little bit strange to some people to see Klay Thompson at 4th. It's not because I think Klay Thompson's bad or overrated even. I just think that the other shooting guards on this list in the top 3 aren't getting the credit, and I don't think they're a lot better than Klay. I think when you get into this top 4, look at these 4 guys. At least in my eyes, these guys aren't very far apart. So the guys we'll be seeing above Klay right now, it's not like they're a whole lot better than him, miles ahead of him, not at all. I mean, it's really close. But Klay Thompson coming in ahead of CJ McCollum basically can be interpreted as a testament to his defensive ability. Klay Thompson is a really good defensive player. He can guard 1s, 2s, and 3s, and he's really good at guarding point guards. I mean, it's really underrated because Steph Curry, as a lot of people know, doesn't always guard the point guard. A lot of times when you see the Warriors playing the Thunder, the Wizards, the Clippers, when they used to play the Clippers, the Cavs, teams like that, Klay Thompson will guard Kyrie Irving or John Wall or Chris Paul, right? So the elite point guards that are hard to guard, Klay Thompson gets that task, and it's really good that he's able to do that because Klay Thompson has a very limited role in the Warriors offense. He always has, and it's because his offensive game is pretty limited. A lot of people, see him as this huge offensive weapon because he can shoot the lights out, and while I agree, yes, Klay Thompson is a great three-point shooter. He's a guy that can spot up, he can shoot contested shots, he can shoot deep shots, he can also hit mid-range shots, he can also post up. The problem with Klay Thompson is that he really can't create his own shot that well, and the reason why you might see him creating a shot very well, or you see him making these shots, a lot of it is the product of the fact that that team has so many threats that aren't Klay Thompson. I mean, he really is the fourth option on the offensive end. And while yes, he's an elite shooter, yes, he defends extremely well, yes, if those guys weren't there, he would average more than 22, 23 points, whatever he averaged. I think it was like 21. I don't know. He would average more than that if Kevin Durant and Steph Curry weren't on that team. Klay Thompson still is benefited tremendously by their presence because he just gets open so much more. And if Klay Thompson was the number one guy on a team, it would be a lot harder for him to score efficiently. He doesn't get to the rim all that well. He doesn't get to the free throw line, really. He's a guy that likes to stay out on the perimeter and not use too much energy on getting inside and creating shots for him and others. Klay Thompson is also limited as a playmaker or rebounder, and he's mostly just used as a 3-and-D guy that is really elite at three-point shooting and defending. I mean, that's really what he does best. He can shoot the mid-range. Yeah, he can create his own shot in the post and stuff like that. He can shoot over people very well. His ball handling just isn't, at the same level as other guys like CJ McCollum and guys I'm going to talk about. He gets the number 4 spot. At number 3, I went with Bradley Beal. This will probably be the most surprisingly high player on this list. Yes, I want Bradley Beal, and I know that last year and the year before I might not even have Bradley Beal on this list, or even in a top shooting guards discussion at all, because Bradley Beal, for one, he hasn't been in the NBA that long. He hasn't proven that much, and the reason why he hasn't proven that much, at least before this year, is because he's always injured. Bradley Beal's injuries have been a huge obstacle in terms of not letting him get on the court and show us what he can really do. And we've seen him in flashes, we've seen him have great games and great stretches, but we haven't seen Bradley Beal put together a full season of really, really good play until this year. And I think Bradley Beal was completely robbed of the All-Star game this year. I think that he totally should have gotten over Carmelo Anthony, and it was just a popularity contest like it always is, but still, the coaches put Melo into the game because he's Melo, and Bradley Beal hasn't done as much as Melo, even though Bradley Beal had a hard-earned spot in the All-Star game waiting for him. Not that, I know All-Star, people don't really care about the All-Star game, but being named an All-Star is something that everybody cares about. You always want your favorite players to be All-Stars. You always want to be named an All-Star. It's an accolade people love to have because the more All-Star appearances, the more seriously you take that player as a great player. Bradley Beal was robbed of one. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he totally should have been in there. But why I like Bradley Beal over CJ McCollum and Klay Thompson is because Bradley Beal does more on the court. He's a shooting guard that he's a good 6'5". He's pretty strong. He gets the basket. He's a great shooter. He can shoot, catch and shoot. He can make his own shot. He can handle the ball really well, and his defense has really improved. I mean, you saw him guarding Isaiah Thomas for most of that Boston series, and yes, I know people are going to say he got burnt in some games, but Bradley Beal did have Isaiah Thomas on the ropes in a few of those. Like, I'm talking about games 3 and 4, pretty much the home games that Washington had. They had Bradley Beal. I mean, and look, it's not like Bradley Beal stuck Isaiah Thomas for the entire series, but Bradley Beal did have really good defensive games, like games 3 and 4, and where he was just all over Isaiah Thomas. I just think that this guy can defend better than CJ McCollum, a lot better than CJ McCollum. He can do more on the offensive end than Klay Thompson. And so he's a better number one option guy. I try to make these lists and look at players, how good they would be in a number one option role. Because in order to be the best, you got to be able to run a team. You got to be able to be the best player on the court. You got to be able to lead. And Klay Thompson, to me, I can't see him in that position. I don't think that he's the type of player that could lead a team, that could score as a primary option, that could get double teams consistently and score out of them and find different ways to attack and make plays for people. Bradley Beal I could see as a lot more capable of that. He's a better scorer as soon as you cross the three-point line. Okay, he can create his shot better. He can shoot over people. He can leave people in the dust with dribble moves, get to the basket very well. Bradley Beal is very capable of scoring off the dribble. And I just think that his overall versatility, and also he can play point guard as well. He's kind of like CJ in the fact that he can run point. I think that CJ's a better scorer, but Bradley Beal's a much, much better defensive player. And he's a much better scorer inside, like I said, than Klay Thompson. And number 2, I went with DeMar DeRozan. And, you know, this was a little bit hard to go with DeRozan over Beal and Thompson. But overall, DeMar DeRozan really embodies that number one guy role, that leader role, even though, yeah, I've been kind of on the fence of who the real best player on that team is, because I think DeMar is the real scorer, but Kyle Lowry is better at pretty much everything else. DeMar DeRozan has taken it up a notch every single year in terms of that. He's trying to be the leader of the team. He's the young guy they're building around. He's the real franchise player there in Toronto, and he's playing like it. Okay, his scoring average, what was he averaging, like 28 this year? He leads his team consistently in the regular season to good win numbers. I think they were the 3rd seed this year, I believe. Yeah, they were. And he's one of the best scorers in the league, period. And he does it without shooting the 3-ball, which I know it's kind of a blessing and a curse. It tells you how great he is at scoring inside the arc, but also, you know, the big downfall that he just can't really hit from outside the arc. DeMar DeRozan's overall offensive game is so overwhelming, and I know his defense isn't, you know, really there. It's definitely better than CJ McCollum's, but it's not Klay Thompson level. DeMar DeRozan is the best scorer out of the bunch that I have talked about, and scoring is really the main idea and goal for a shooting guard in today's NBA, and I just say in the NBA, period. It's always been like that. Shooting guards shoot. And DeMar DeRozan is a better scorer than everybody on this list so far. I think that he is the player I would take over those guys just because he knows how to lead a team. He knows how to put the ball in the basket at any time, better than anybody I've talked about. He can go up against double teams and score. He's a very, very capable scorer. I put him at number 2 here. At number 1, I'm going with James Harden. I mentioned him in the beginning, and if you watch this, you see the 4 guys I mentioned before him. You know I couldn't snub James Harden off this spot. The guy almost won MVP. But I do think James Harden is like one of the most overrated players in the NBA. This is not a conversation for this video because since he's number 1, I'm praising him. And if you want a video on why James Harden I think is overrated, you should probably catch it. If you watch all my videos, you probably catch it in my other videos when I mention James Harden. I'm not really going to get into it here, but if you guys really want that, let me know and I'll get one of those to you, because I definitely could make a video on why I think James Harden is very overrated. Overrated or not, regardless of him being overrated, I should say, James Harden's still the best shooting guard in the NBA. Okay, the guy can do it all in the offensive end, and he is the best offensive option out of everybody on this list. It isn't a question. It's not even close, because James Harden averaged more points than everybody on this list, and he also led the league in assists. The guy is super capable. He led his team. He's been the number 1 guy on his team. He is a shooting guard that led a team to a 55, 56 win mark. I could not see anybody else on this list doing something like that. I really couldn't. And James Harden has solidified himself as a superstar player in the NBA. He can do pretty much everything except for play defense. I mean, the guy averaged, 29, 11, and 7 or something like that? No one on this list is capable of stuff like that. James Harden carried his team this year, led them to the second round of the playoffs. Yes, folded in epic fashion, we know, but overall, he is still by far the best shooting guard in the NBA. I would take him over DeMar DeRozan, Klay Thompson, Bradley Beal, CJ McCollum in a heartbeat. Just because of his presence, because of how he leads a team, how he can score the ball, how he can pass the ball, how he can run an offense. and he's also a great rebounding guard. So I take him. His defense, yeah, his defense is bad, really bad. But look, it's about there with TJ McCollum, and James Harden's offense is a lot better than TJ McCollum's offense, mostly because of that ball control and just ability to see the floor and get guys involved and throw lobs and get three-point shooters, three-point shots, right? So overall, yeah, his impact is greater than everybody else's. I think that he is easily, bar none, the best shooting guard in the NBA. This is a long-ass video. I want to wrap this up. So in summary, the list went 1 Harden, 2 DeRozan, 3 Beal, 4 Thompson, and 5 CJ McCollum. Honorable mention Avery Bradley. He's the honorable mention today. You guys might have a shooting guard in mind that you're mad I didn't mention. Dwayne Wade. Deion Waiters close. Dwayne Wade. I'm a Bulls fan. Not ever gonna mention Dwayne Wade in the top 5 shooting guards ever again. If you want a video on that, why I wouldn't do that, also let me know. I don't like Dwayne Wade very much, but I just don't think he's good anymore, period. That's going to do it. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, of course. Comment your top 5 lists. Please don't get too offended in the comments, okay? I would hate to see that, especially after the disclaimer I put in the beginning of this video. And if you guys didn't listen to that, you probably didn't do as good of a job listening to, actual arguments in the video. So, that's it. Peace out. Have a good one, guys. I'm out. Thanks for watching, y'all. Peace.